Yeah, we're live
There it
now.
is. Boom.
Just talking about how we both have friends that cheer for the Dolphins, which my friend cheers for the Dolphins because of Dan Marino, which I find weird. But I guess that's fine. I'm just like, he's from Iowa. Like, so the
From
Dolphins,
Iowa.
it's like he wants to be different, you
How
know?
how is he around your age?
Yeah, he's my age. So
Okay.
grew up. I mean, I get it. Like, oh, there's your favorite player. I mean, there's a guy went to college with who's a Lions fan, which honestly in Iowa is pretty rare. You just don't see a lot of them. But it was all Barry Sanders, and it's like, yeah, okay, I get it. But
A Lions fan
Dolphins.
in the wild. That's
Well, and you chose to wear teal and orange.
yeah, I don't know.
So,
For me, my buddy's a Dolphin fan because he's from that general area. His parents were in the military, so he spent some time in that region. So, still I'm like, man, why would you want to pick the Dolphins back then? But that's
well,
fine.
they were pretty good in the '70s, right?
Yeah, I guess they had their moments,
Yeah. Well, their moments had a couple, yeah, a couple championships, right?
I know. I just, come on. I can't imagine like Iowa. That's Bears country, right? For you guys over there,
Pretty split, right? NFC North teams, pretty
Chiefs.
even.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah,
really?
well, I
Okay.
mean, in Des Moines, I would say that I see a lot of Chiefs fans. So,
Okay.
but when I grew up in Eastern Iowa, and it's really split. It's Bears, Packers, Vikings, and it's a pretty even split between the three. And then, like, depending, I think if you go closer to the river, it's more Bears fans. If you go a little more northeast, you're gonna, Dubuque, Wisconsin, right? You're gonna have more Packers fans. If you go just more north, you're gonna have, it really is, I think there's a regionality to it. But I'm from Cedar Rapids, and Cedar Rapids just I'm telling you, I know as many. I grew up with as many Bears fans as Packers fans as Vikings fans. I'm telling you, it's just a dead split.
That's weird.
And then there's like this 10%, maybe even like 5% that's just other, right? There's this random guy that'll cheer for the Steelers, right, or whatever. I mean, it's weird.
Yeah. You've always been a Bears fan, though.
Oh yeah, to come by it honest.
Nice.
Both grandfathers, big Chicago sports fans. One of them born and raised there, and then obviously you've met my mom. You you know how big of a Bears fan she is, and Dad's the same way. So yeah, come by it honest.
That's good. That's good. I know Iowa is a big Cubs area though because of the
Sure,
AAA
you got
affiliate.
the I Cubs.
Yeah.
Yep, that is a big deal there. So um, yeah, man.
I always find it interesting when like how do you choose your team when you don't live in an area where there's a team? I always find it interesting. That's because I know like in Indiana before the Colts moved there, that was a lot of Bears country there. And then of course the Colts came in, and a lot of people switched their allegiance, but they still have like a radio affiliate that covers the game, and a big portion of that area is big Bears still. So it's kind of interesting.
You make a good point. I've got the fantasy league I kept up is my best friend runs it, and it's guys that we went to high school with and some other people. And like it's pretty, it's split. There's a Vikings fan in there, right? There's a guy that's a Packer fan, all that kind of stuff, and everybody's a Cubs fan. Like there's no Brewer fans or Twin fans or anything like that. No, it's they like the Vikings and the Cubs. They like the Packers and the Cubs. They like the Bears and the Cubs, which I guess is fine, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I guess it's fine. It just to me, it was just all the same city, and that was easy.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like for me, my baseball team was the Tigers, but I came across that because I spent all my parents were divorced when I was young, so I would spend my summers in Michigan, which is
Baseball
obviously
season.
baseball season. So, and my uncle was a huge Tigers fan, so I kind of took it from him. My dad was a White Sox fan, so it was kind of fun to go against my dad at the time. So I've just always been a Tigers fan. But when it comes to football, though, I had a few moments early when I didn't know what to do. I was too young to know, but once I understood it, all Bears.
Well, I don't. I honestly I don't understand hockey at all. I do watch a little baseball time to time. I definitely grew up a baseball fan. Uh, Grew up a Jordan fan, right? So watch the Bulls. So I don't care about basketball now. That just is what it is. Just at some point you just drop. You don't have enough time. You just drop off some things.
Yeah.
Don't know anything about hockey, and so I've never had an allegiance to hockey. But like they had the expansion team in Seattle, the Kraken. Like, that is
Yeah,
a cool
that's a cool.
mascot. So it's like, I have some Pacific Northwest
Yeah.
cred, so it's like, maybe I'll be a Kraken fan. But then if I wear something, people might say, "Hey, what about Ola Cheskin?" And you're like,
Yeah.
I
Did
don't
you
know
see
anybody.
the they do like this laser show thing for Kraken games? Have you seen this?
No, should I? I'm gonna be in
I'm
Seattle
telling you,
soon.
you have to
Should
find
I
the video
go?
somewhere. It's like the Kraken's coming out of the ice, and it looks like it's real. It's
Oh,
like it's
okay.
ridiculous
Do
how
you
it
have to
looks the
watch
first
through
time I
your
saw it.
phone, or does it actual, like, 3D in the, like, you don't have to have
I'm
any
not
aided
sure.
things?
I've only seen the stuff on YouTube or social media wherever I saw it. But when the first time I saw it, I'm like, wow, that is like an intense show. I'm not sure how they do it. It's a hologram thing, I guess. I'm sure there might be a Kraken fan out there somewhere that could tell us how cool it looks. But yeah, that was
You've seen
ridiculous.
the Raven games where they had that, like, giant raven that, like, came in, and I think that was, like, an app on the phone, and you had to, like, watch it through the
Ah,
phone
yeah,
and it
yeah.
came in. But if it's a laser show and it, like, goes down into through that, I mean, in a hockey arena, that could make sense. You could actually probably pull that off in the football one, where, like, there's just like, the Jags did that too. Jaguars had, like, a giant jaguar jump up on the stadium and come, like, these,
Oh, I've seen that.
like,
Yeah, yeah.
200-foot tall jaguar or something. Like, yeah, that stuff's cool. I'm
Technology.
in on that.
I love it. Nice. You ready to rock here?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Let's
Let's
get
do it.
into this.
All right. Welcome to Bear and Balance. I'm Jeff Berckes, a writer for Windy City Gridiron, and I'm joined by the editor of that fine website, Lester A. Wiltfong Jr. Lester, the Bears lose another game. They fall to 3-6, but spirits are incredibly high around Bears fandom. How are you feeling about the game today?
It's crazy. It's another loss, but I'm just as excited now as I was last week. It's like Justin Fields in the offense is showing something. I mean, it's a quarterback-driven league, and your team is nothing until you have the quarterback. We're still not sure, but we're pretty close. I mean, it's the national love around him is ridiculous after this last game.
Well, it's ridiculous because he set a regular season record, most rushing yards by a quarterback. That is now number one in the record book for him. I mean, just like unbelievable. He's now recorded something in the record book that no quarterback has before. So that's really cool. A lot of games have been played in the NFL, by the way.
Yeah,
Like, it's not nothing to just be like, hey, he now owns a single game record. But he's also like top 10 in the league and rushing at this point. I mean, he is showing that he is a legitimate weapon in the run game. You're seeing some really good throws. I mean, this is, we'll get into this in a bit here, but he had 3 touchdown passes, right? It's not like he wasn't doing anything through the air. And just overall, there's just an excitement level. You're not going to, like, take a bathroom break when the Bears are on offense anymore, right? Like,
yeah.
you're going to be glued to your seat. You're going to want to watch every single snap, and that is something pretty special, right? Like, there was a little bit of a conversation on Twitter this week about, I think it was our friend Ross Reed, who mentioned, like, who are the top 5 Chicago athletes that are must see TV, and in the last, like, 30 years. So basically, like, Jordan, but after Jordan. And I had listed, a couple Cubs and Devin Hester, and I was like, but I feel like Fields is getting to that level for me,
He's
and I think he's
close.
there now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it was Jack Silverstein on Twitter said that Justin Fields scrambles are now to the point where it's like a Devin Hester return, whereas you see him break the pocket, you get up, everything's excited. Yeah, it's like, oh my God, what's he gonna do now? And it's, he just he's so electric with the ball in his hands. And it's funny because this was not his game coming out of college. He was not an option guy. He was an in the pocket passer. He was sit back there, go through his progressions, make the read. It was a complicated kind of offense he ran, but I said it on my show. It's like when you're that big and you're that strong and you're that fast, you have to take advantage of that. And yeah, maybe it's not sustainable because you don't want to take in all these hits, but he seems pretty smart with the ball. I mean, he gets down when he has to. He gets out of bounds when he has to. He really only puts the head down and tries to get extra yards when he needs to do it. So it's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, people say, well, he's not doing that thing where quarterbacks sit in the pocket, and yeah, but you've watched that in the first few weeks. He was getting murdered back there. He was taking a ton of sacks. Like, why would you want him to try to force him into that when he
Yeah.
could do this crazy thing that is just amazing and electric, and something that we just haven't really seen before, and it's productive, right? I mean, this is 3 straight pretty good defenses that he's gone against, And the Bears are one of the top scoring teams in the league the last 3 weeks. I mean, they're like second in the league in terms
Yeah.
of points scored. When's the last time you can say that?
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean, I'm sure we'll get into more of the points here. For my tweet of the week, actually talking about the points, but yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, would you ever have thought the Bears have one of the best offenses in the NFL at this point? I mean, if you say that statement, people think you're stupid. But then you look, well, I mean, if you look at the numbers, they're right there.
yeah, we're seeing rushing attack that we just haven't seen in a very long time either. So that's really cool, and it's
Yeah,
led by Justin Fields. But
yeah.
let's get into our categories. Let's start off this week with the Portillo's Trench Tribute. Again, Portillo's got us this year $100 gift cards. Like I've still got a bunch of them. You know, we're about halfway through the season. We still got more to give out. Drop us a line and an email to ndcitygridiron at gmail.com. If that's, if you'd like, just send an email, tweet at us underneath the tweet that we say,
Yeah.
give us your Portillo's Trench Tribute. Don't just randomly tweet us.
So
There.
it's much easier to
Lester's
keep
losing
track of.
track.
Yeah, I know
Lester's
it's
losing track.
hard.
So
Yeah.
just try to keep it on that one tweet. You know, put a comment on the YouTube video if that's your thing. Put it on Facebook, wherever it is, wherever you get your Bear and Balance. Put in your Portillo's Trench Tribute, and we will put you into the drawing. We got another happy winner last week, and this is that was a Chicago guy. We got an actual Chicago address, so that was good to see as well. So, you are starting off this week. Who do you have for your Trench Tribute?
You know, I'm watching the game, and of course the defense gave up a ton of points. It's hard to stay with anyone on the defensive side. They had what, no sacks and just 2 quarterback hits. So obviously the defense has got some issues. So I'm of course I'm focusing on offense. You know, and I'm looking at those 5 guys, and I got to go back to Tevin Jenkins. You know, I mean, Tevin Jenkins he's to the point now where he's just consistently who he is. He's getting better each week. It seems he understands. There was a play I was watching today, and it was a lot of times those twists. You know, teams. The Bears haven't faced a lot of stunts this year for some reason. I haven't seen a lot of teams run it. The Dolphins did a couple, and it was at Jenkins, and Jenkins picked him up. Him and Mustard kind of had a nice pass off. Tevin Jenkins was solid in the run game, solid in the pass game. I got to go with Tevin Jenkins. There were just Brandon Thorne. He studies the O-line. He's a big O-line guru on Twitter. He tweeted out some nice plays from Jenkins earlier. I actually retweeted that. So if you can find that, it's on my Twitter feed. He just finishes his blocks. You know, he still plays with aggressiveness. He's nasty. You know, that's what you want. And again, talking Brandon Thorne, he mentioned that the pass pro was rough overall, but Jenkins is a keeper. And, you know, man, he has that Pro Bowl talent. I mean, he's a guy that he'll be here. I mean, hopefully he's bought in. I mean, I'm assuming he has now, because just look at his play. I mean, he is just one of the better O linemen on the Bears, and if he's all bought in and he's the guy moving forward, man, it's good to have that spot locked up.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. If I was a defensive coordinator, I would have done the same thing. I would have tried to run stunts at him and Mustafa, because when I have watched that area of the pass pro, there is a little bit of inconsistency in terms
Yeah,
of where Jenkins doesn't necessarily keep the pocket integrity very well. And so if you can twist into that, you could open up some lanes. And so hopefully he's improving in that area. That's good to hear that you wanted to highlight him. I'm actually going to go with the other guard, Cody Whitehair, coming back. First available game that he could play coming off of the short-term IR, and they activated him right away, and they said, yep, he's good to go. We're getting him back into this game. And there was just a little bit more steadiness and calmness when he's in the football game. I mean, I thought that he's moving pockets, moving defenders off. He's keeping his pocket integrity. He's a pro. He knows what he's doing. He's been a very good player, with the exception of, like, again, last year, he really felt like he fell off a little bit. I'm telling you, there had to be something weird there. There was something either really not comfortable with Mustafa, that made him be off on his blocks, or he was fighting an injury, because he's back to the Cody Whitehair that we expect. And I felt more comfortable when he suited up and he was in the game. That's just more than anything, wanted to give him the tribute, because it made me feel better. And that's that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
If
I
it
mean,
makes it better.
it's not a knock on Michael Schofield. He played pretty
No,
good as a
he filled in
fill-in.
fine, but
Yeah.
Cody Whitehair is a good
Yeah.
player. Like he
Yeah.
can be a really good guard. He is a good guard in this league. Schofield, is I think Schofield showed that he can be a good backup guard for this team if they need him down the line. But this line's the best combination of this line has Jenkins and Whitehair at the guard spots.
Yes, for sure. And then the right tackle spot.
I mean, I think it's Reef, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, I know that he had the penalty. That wasn't at a bad time. That wasn't great, but right now, I think I would rather have the steadiness of a veteran at this point. You've got enough tape on Borum to make your call of whether or not you feel like you need to improve upon that position, or you feel like you can count on him to take another step next year. But right now, I think I would take the steady play of Riley Reef as long as he's able.
I would like to see this five stay here for a few weeks. Let them kind of get used to each other. We talk about it all the time. The O line is a team within a team. The fact that you got a couple new places, new faces in there. I think you want to let them kind of grow. I think there's a chance that Bears may go back to Borum just because you never want to lose your job to injury. But I'm like you. I think Reef has been pretty steady there, and we'll see what happens going forward. But I'd like to see them get that continuity together and grow. So.
Well, I mean, I know that you're now a big Sam Mustipher fan. You want this five, or you want Lucas Patrick to take his job?
Well,
back?
we still got about 3 more weeks before Patrick can be activated, depending on the severity of that toe injury. It may be longer, but I mean, when Patrick's ready, obviously he's the guy at center. I mean,
okay.
Sam is
sure.
I
know you're a Sam I am guy. I just wanted to make sure.
Yourself. I'm going to get that rep now. I did that quick little video where it was like,
yeah,
I was just shocked at the play he made. He was just so aggressive and angry last week on that play. I'm like, wow, I gotta throw that out there, and it was fun.
Gotta love it. All right, let's move on to the tweet of the week. Who did you come up with?
Will DeWitt. He's worked with CHGO. He's at WI11 DeWitt. Hashtag Bears total points scored weeks 1 through 6. 93, weeks 7 through 9, 94. And that goes back to what we're talking about. The Bears, the last few weeks, have one of the best offenses in the game today. And it's just a weird sentence to say out loud. When I say it, I'm thinking that's not right, but it's true. 94 points, the last 3 weeks by the Chicago Bears in their offense.
Yeah, I mean, you get one game scoring, a lot of points. Okay, fine, that's random. You get 2 games in a row, you say like, well, okay, back to back, that's interesting. You get 3, it's a trend.
Yeah.
Like this is something now that teams are looking at, like, oh, this is a functional offense. What's happening here? Like this is something that has gotten the attention around the league. You do it three times in a row, people they sit up in their chairs a little bit straighter and say, okay, what are they doing? Like we're gonna have to take this serious. And oh, by the way, who's next on the schedule?
Oh, the Lions.
The Detroit Lions, who
brutal.
up until this week couldn't stop anybody.
Yeah.
So the good times may be rolling. Oh, let's look the week after that, the Falcons. The Falcons can't stop anybody either. So this could be a real nice stretch here for Justin Fields to really spread his wings and really go fly here. So I'm really excited about that. That's a good stat that you pulled on the tweet of the week. I've got a couple. It's a 2-parter.
You had a double. I saw that.
Well, and I think it makes sense. So Dan Le Batard show, at Dan Le Batard show, he had a video of the Chase Claypool no call there at the end, and he says no flag, and then cry laughing face emoji. Basically, like, are you kidding me? This is ridiculous. Now, Dan Le Batard, if you guys don't know, you probably do, but if you don't know who that is, he is a Miami-based reporter. He's got a ESPN show. He's pretty entertaining. In terms of those national shows, I don't like a lot of them, but when I have watched Dan Le Batard show, he's pretty good. But he's a Miami guy, and here you go. Like he's kind of laughing at this, like, what is this? This is ridiculous. On the other side, Michael Wilbon, who I'm sure everybody knows, he's at Real Mike Wilbon. He says, when NFL officiating is bad, it's really game-changing, season-altering bad. The mistake on the lake in Chicago today is shameful if the league has any. I wanted to talk about officiating, and it felt like a good place to bring it up. I don't like at all to be the guy that talks about, well, this call was bad, right? Because over the course of a game, you're going to have calls on both sides that don't really work out. There are games, this happens, just matter of statistical sense, where you're going to have more bad calls go against you. This is what it is. Seems to always happen against Green Bay for Chicago. I get that.
Yeah.
But there have been late games with bad calls that go against the Bears or no calls that should have helped the Bears. Washington game in the end zone, that third down play, defensive pass interference that wasn't called, that changes the game. That mean that the Bears would have first and goal at the one. They I would assume they would score that. They're going to sneak out a win in that game. They don't. Again, that was probably win number 4. Here, Chase Claypool clearly interfered with. Everybody that's ever watched a football game knows that that's called defensive pass interference. For some reason, the officials decided to keep the flag in their pocket, and the Bears are robbed of a 1st and 10 in field goal range with a chance to win the game late. And for such a performance that Justin Fields had put on, it is really a shame that we didn't get to see the natural conclusion of that football game. And that's what it feels like we've been cheated with some of these bad calls. Is like these results should be different. Like we should have an opportunity to see where these games go out. We don't necessarily care about wins and losses this year, but I still don't want a loss on the record book when it looks like they could have won these games.
They've had a lot of these games where they've been really close, where it's like a really weird thing at the end happens. But yeah, this one was it was horrible. I mean, he was grabbed. I mean, he was grabbed around the waist. It was clearly there. The refs was like standing right there. The other guy came and got a piece of him too. Like, how do you miss something like that? I've always wondered why are some of these plays not reviewable? It just doesn't make any sense to me that the coaches aren't able to throw the red flag on this. I thought there was some talk years back. They were thinking about doing it, and I think they just kind of decided not to. I think part of it is because the refs don't know what it is, what pass interference is half the time. So what are you going to do? Throw the flag and have someone up in a booth make a call where the refs have proven they don't know what it is. But when you see it, that blatant, come on, someone has to step in. It's not going to happen this year, obviously, but the competition committee has to look at that. They have to say some of these plays, especially when it's at that point of the game. Was that under 2 minutes? I think it was.
Very close. Yeah. It was down at the last part of the game. They talked about the sky judge, or that was maybe like an XFL idea or whatever that was. But, you have an official there that can buzz down and stop like, hey, egregious
Yeah.
error. That felt like an egregious error, right? And honestly, the Eddie Jackson call that was called defensive pass interference
That was terrible.
was not. Like he's
Yeah.
running, completely playing the football. He can't see what's behind him. He's running for the football. That is exactly what you want the defender to do. That's how the league wants defenders to play. They want them to be looking for the football and not like looking to make a hit or whatever. And it's an underthrown ball, and Waddle comes back into Eddie Jackson. When that flag was thrown, my first instinct was, oh, they're going to call offensive pass
I
interference.
thought the same
How
thing. Yeah.
fun, right?
Yeah.
And then I saw Eddie start to like protest, and I was like, oh, they're not going to call it. They are going to call it on it. You've got to be kidding me, right? And it didn't end up hurting them because the Bears defense actually made a stop there at the end. But that's 2 bad calls on the same type of call in one game. And like again, this is a team that is the underdog, and they don't have the most talent on the field, right? The Dolphins are more talented of a squad, and they can't overcome that many obstacles. Like, can we just see it as a level playing field? That's all I want. That's all I want.
Coach Flus in his presser today talked about both those. He talked about yesterday too, and after the game, and he thought both were bad calls. I mean, he said that they of course each team, they take their collection of plays, they send to the league office for review, and he talked about that. He said that the Eddie Jackson one he thought was wrong because the defender can play the ball, which he did. He's allowed to look back and make a play on that. And then of course with the Claypool one, it was just like, he was grabbed. It's like, how do you miss those 2 calls in that situation of the game? It's just It makes you wonder.
Yeah, well, the Bears, that's at least 2 victories. Let's not even talk about some of the other plays that you can get down there. But those 2 seem pretty clear. Maybe they wouldn't have won, but they would have been
Yeah.
put at least in a position to tie, extend the game. You'd like to think they would win. How good the Bears offense was playing at that point in the game. So,
How
anyway,
good
let's
this
move on.
again, how good the Bears offense was playing. It's
It's a
such a
weird thing to
strange thing to
say.
yeah.
I even like my brain was like, "Are you sure you want to say that?"
Did you hear in the game? I think it was the guy who was doing the color. He made a comment that you don't want to give the Dolphins went for it on fourth down because they don't want to give the ball back to the Bears. It's like what?
Yeah,
What is
that's
this? What is happening here?
yeah. I mean, I've heard they don't want to punt to Devin Hester.
Yeah,
Don't kick to Devin Hester. I've heard that a lot in my life,
yeah.
but not that. All right, let's move on to the stats. Caught up in a numbers game. What number did you come up with?
Same as last week, 225. And it's because the Chicago Bears now they have rushed for they rushed for 252 against the Miami on Sunday, and that now they have joined the 76 Steelers as the only teams in the Super Bowl era with at least 225 rushing yards in 4 consecutive games. I talked about it last week. They had a chance to do this. They did it. And we talked about it at the top. Up next is the one of the worst defenses in the game, the Detroit Lions. So there's a very good chance that the Bears will set the record with a 5th consecutive week of 225. The Lions, they give up 148.8 per game. I think that's 4th in the league.
Fourth
They give up
worst.
fourth worst, but they give up 5 yards per carry. So there's a good chance that Fields, Herbert, Montgomery, maybe Chase Claypool on a jet sweep or Cole Kmet on a jet sweep, Sue, or something like that. They're going to rack up some yards, and I think there's a good chance they set this record next week.
I love it. I love it. Let's throwback football. Bears fans everywhere should be loving it, right? I mean, you got fullbacks in the
Oh man,
game. You got tight ends running quarterback sneaks. Like, I mean, this is just beautiful, right? It's beautiful. Um, my number this week is 38, and we're going to play a little game.
oh,
So 38 is the number of games in Chicago Bears history where a ball carrier has had 150 yards or more rushing. So I had our guy Sam Householder pull that number for me, and so Justin Fields is the 38th person or 38th game. There were 11 other Bears before yesterday for that feat. So 11 Chicago Bears ball carriers have had a 150-yard game or more. So you're going to try to name as many as you can, and you only get 3 strikes.
I was trying to look up who the last because Fields had 170. I was trying to look up who was the last guy to have that many yards in Chicago Bears history, and it's hard going game by game, picking through. I don't have the stat head. I should have talked to Jack Silverstein. He has that stat head thing. He would have told me. But I did find Matt Forte.
Okay, Matt Forte had 2 of those.
He had a 205 about a decade or so ago, so that
Okay,
was a big one.
so you got Forte.
Is there a David Montgomery in there?
Oh, that's strike number 1.
Oh,
David Montgomery has not gone for
he
over
was
150
close. I
yards.
did find him. Okay, so we're going to the history of the franchise.
History of the franchise.
So of course, talking Walter Payton.
Okay, so Walter Payton, gentleman by the name of Walter Payton. You may have heard of him, you may have not. It's your first time listening to a Chicago Bears podcast if you haven't heard Walter Payton's name. Of the 38 150-yard running performances, Walter Payton had 20.
Wow.
Unbelievable. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Just an unbelievable mark. He's got so many amazing records, but
Yeah.
20 games where he rushed for at least 150 yards. That's more than a season. Like it's unreal. Walter Payton's amazing. So, all right. So you have knocked out 22 of the 37 games so far, and you have 1 strike.
Gale Sayers.
Gale Sayers has 3 said
Okay.
games.
Rick Cazares.
Rick Cazares has 1.
Ah, nice.
You're doing well.
Neil Anderson.
Neil Anderson does not have any.
Damn,
that is your 2nd strike.
Okay, this is getting close here. Can I get a hint here? How about the era?
Sure. First 1,000-yard rusher.
Beatty Feathers.
Beatty Feathers has 1.
Boom.
Another hint is that you said Matt Forte. You went way too far back. There's someone who's had it more recently.
Has there really? Is it going to be? All right, I'm going to throw this out there. Is it a Jordan Howard in here somewhere?
Jordan Howard has 2.
Nice.
Okay. But there's been somebody more recent than Jordan Howard.
Has there really been?
Mhm.
Is it Khalil Herbert?
Khalil Herbert this year.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. Oh my goodness, man. You always
Okay.
forget the close ones. Was that
You
all
got
of them? Did I get
4
them all?
No, there's 4 left.
Oh man.
So there's a guy in the early 2000s. I don't want to lead you too much because I'm curious where he
Anthony
went.
Thomas, the A
Anthony
Train.
A Train has 3.
Yeah, I know he was on there.
Okay. You got a guy from the 60s, a guy from the middle 2000s, and another guy that would be a little earlier than that.
Is the Ultra back on there?
No, that's your
Yeah,
3rd
there it
strike.
is. That's my 3rd strike.
All right,
Okay.
Raymond Harris, that's your 3rd strike. So Willie Gallimore would be the guy from the 60s.
Oh, of course, Gallimore. Yeah.
So he had 2, and then Thomas Jones had 1.
Oh, how do I miss Thomas Jones?
I don't know. And then James Allen. James Allen's the one that, you know what, Jack would get it because he's Jack, but most people aren't going to remember James Allen. But
James Allen had a nice little run with the Bears. He didn't get one of the Hail Mary catches off the for the
the Browns
Brown
game, right?
games. Yeah,
Yep.
nice.
Yeah, a little like caught it, kind of picked it up off the ground. Yep, absolutely. So I thought that was a fun little quiz for you. 38 games in Bears history with a runner of 150 yards or more. Justin Fields is now part of that club. Very cool. It's just a cool game. I wish it was a victory because it makes it even better, but very cool game for him to be part of that. We are going to take a break before the Fields report today, as opposed to after it, because we feel like it's going to roll into the hot bowl of porridge. But stick with us, and we will talk more about Justin Fields. All right, Lester, let's talk about Justin Fields. So 17 of 28 for 123 yards passing. Not the biggest numbers yardage-wise for sure, but he had 3 touchdown passes, no interceptions. He was sacked twice for 7 yards. There was kind of some talk about it. He was only sacked once, but people forget that he stepped out of bounds early, unfortunately, instead of dumping the ball off. So he was actually sacked twice for a 7-yard loss. 15 carries for 178 and a touchdown. That is the regular season record for a quarterback in terms of running the football. And that includes a 61-yard touchdown run that was just simply a work of art. I don't understand. It's going to be a highlight that's on his career package when all is said and done. That it's that good of a highlight.
Did you see the Emmanuel Acho breakdown of that play?
I did.
Where he went to throw it to Mooney. Mooney had he was doing the scramble drill, obviously, at that point. Mooney wasn't sure what was going on. Mooney turned his back. Fields clutched it and then still had the speed and the athleticism to kind of just break away and just accelerate past all those Dolphin defenders. It was just a ridiculous run. And, he's done that a few times this year, but that was phenomenal. That's the longest quarterback touchdown run in Bears history right there, 61 yards.
Oh, really? There's not a ton of like super long touchdown runs in Bears history. It's kind of interesting. Like you'd think like Peyton he probably had a 99-yard run or something. It's like, actually it doesn't really have that. So it's kind of cool to see that. And especially Bobby Douglas, you think maybe he would have broke one. But one of the things that I noticed when I was rewatching the game was first series, you had, they rolled the pocket and then there was a play action fake and then there was an RPO. And then they ran a screen, and then they ran a goal ball, the one that was the defensive pass interference, all on the first drive, right? And it was like, yes, 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 yes. Like all of this is good. All of these things are good for Justin Fields, and he can really run this well. You're starting to see it all work together. That, in addition to how well they've run the football in terms of traditionally handing the ball off to the running back and all the different things they're doing in the run game, which is really interesting. This is starting to look like a really fun offense. Like all of a sudden out of nowhere kind of, but like they're doing all the things that we have wanted them to do and they're all working. And it's just really fun to watch at this point.
I prefer the play action from under center. But if you are going to do a play action shotgun, the way the Bears were doing it in the game against the Dolphins, they were kind of riding the read option look. It was clearly a play action pass because the way the O line was blocking, but he would ride the mesh point with the running back a little bit, and then after he pulled it, then he did a little half roll to kind of get out of the pocket. So the Bears doing some really interesting stuff with Luke Getsy as the play caller. Some of the scheme stuff they did, I was excited by. We saw the bootleg, worked this week, and the last few weeks it was just getting blown up. So it was nice to see that. Justin Fields is his play action, his actual deception with the ball is starting to improve. That they compared him to Aaron Rodgers on a video. It was the Tim Jenkins video today, trying to compare him to Aaron Rodgers, and that's what you want to see. Aaron Rodgers, as much as he's a Packer, he's really deceptive with the ball, and that's one of those things. Peyton Manning was like that. That's like one of those little things you don't think about, but all the greats have that. And if you can get to that point where you're really deceptive, the defense can't key on it. You're really good at hiding where the ball is. That just gives you that extra split second to get to make the pass and make the play.
Yeah, I think it's a lot like a pitcher that kind of hides the ball,
Yeah.
and that way the batter can't pick up early in the pitch sequence of what kind of ball it is. There's a little bit of that in terms of the play action and the faking. And if you work at it and you commit yourself to it, you can gain that edge. Those are those like 1%, 5% things that quarterbacks can do that really give you an opportunity to just like that one more play is going to work a game, or that 2, 3 more plays are going to work. That's the kind of stuff that you just love to see because it wasn't really there early on. And so you can tell that he's working at it, he's committed to it, and he's willing to turn his back to a defensive end that's bearing down on him, and he's willing to carry out that fake turn around wide open for a touchdown to Cole Kmet, right? Like, I mean, just it was some very good designs, but also you have to give Fields all the credit in the world for him to be willing and able to run all of these things, right? At this point in the year, we're halfway done with the year, and early on, I think you would have taken 1 or 2 elements of this being run well, and right now it feels like they're all coming together right now.
It's all starting to click. The offense is all starting to come together, and we haven't seen a big passing game yet. I think the most he's had is like 211, 212, but you kind of feel it coming. Especially with Chase Claypool in now, and some of the big shot ability he has, and he drew the PI early. Then he drew the PI late that wasn't called. So there's some chance to go downfield now, and you have a guy you trust to go up and get it in Claypool, where in the past, do you really want to throw that ball to Valus, or do you want to throw it to St. Brown? Do you really trust these guys? Byron Pringle should be back soon. He's a guy he's a professional receiver. He'll work good out of the slot. He can play some outside for you. It's another weapon now that you have. You add him to the mix, so the big passing game's coming for Justin Fields. And it's funny. I mean, he is nominated for the FedEx Player of the ground rush of the game, but he had 100 passer rating plus, and he threw 3 touchdowns. It's just that part of it gets left out a lot when everyone's like, oh my God, he was so good in running the ball. He was pretty accurate in throwing the ball too. I mean, he was going through his reads, he was being decisive with it. Yeah, he had a couple stinkers, but everyone does. He was a good all-around game this last week.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a game where a defensive coordinator says, "We're not going to let you beat us on the ground," which is weird because the whole NFL is like, "We're not going to let you beat us over the top." Like that's what this is this week. This year, it's like, no, we're not going to let you beat us over the top. You got to run, or you got to like chunk this out. And the Bears have been able to do that the last 3 weeks. It's all coming together. But I feel like there's going to be a week where defense coordinator is like, I know how to stop this.
Yeah.
I'm going to make him beat us deep, like, whatever. We're going to play cover 1, and we're going to make them Justin Fields beat us over the top. That's when you're going to see it. That's where you're going to see, the 250, 300-yard game, because, at this point, I feel confident that he's going to see it, understand it, and be able to take advantage of it. And with Claypool, hopefully ramping up quickly, and with Mooney being a deep threat himself, I think that they can take advantage of that. So I agree with you. I think that that's coming. Let's roll this into the 3 Bears: hot bowl of porridge, cold bowl of porridge, and just right. You start us off. Hot bowl of porridge.
It's got to be Justin Fields. I mean, a record setter. It's such a fantastic game. I'm so amazed at how the national narrative is slowly but surely changing. But then this week, they're all over it. It's like completely flipped. He's like, he's talked about it as one of the most exciting quarterbacks in the game today. It's like, this is a Bear quarterback we're talking about. It's ridiculous to hear because it's like, we never heard this. But national narrative is flipped. They're all on Justin Fields. And you look, he's going to suck again at some point because he's going to have a stinker. It's coming.
Right.
So we'll kind of see how it flips. Do they write it off to, oh, it's a bad game, or they say, oh, this is who he is all along? Because there's still a few out there that are holding on to these pre-draft takes they had on Justin Fields, and they're holding on with that they want him to fail. It almost seems like they're, everything he does they nitpick, and it's just like, come on, if you're not on board with him now, you're trying way too hard to be negative.
There's the I don't remember the guy's name, and I apologize for this. But there's a guy out there that draws like football cartoons. And,
Oh yeah.
Pretty popular, right?
Yeah.
And there was he did one of the quarterback class from last year. And this was last week, and they're funny, and there's everybody's struggling in some way. That quarterback class, but Justin Fields wasn't an insult to Justin Fields. He held a sign that said "Send help."
Yep.
Right. And I know it's subtle. I know it's just one guy's opinion. It's a cartoonist, and he's there to try to like pick out things and make fun of people. The other 4 guys were getting made fun of. Justin Fields was not. It just said "Send help," meaning he's fine. He just doesn't have any help. And I noticed that, and I was like, that's interesting. Like, that's just a very small example of the narrative starting to shift a little bit. Like, hey, this guy's good. We think this guy's going to be good. And it happened, hey, started on a primetime game. That we always talk about primetime games. People don't watch as much football as you and me, right? Like, I don't know how many games a week I watch. It's probably an issue, but most people are going to watch their team, and they're probably going to watch the Sunday night game and maybe the Monday night game or parts of it, whatever. When those primetime games really influence what people think about players.
Yeah.
And Justin Fields coming as a heavy underdog and coming out and dominating them, like, that put people on notice. And now all of a sudden it's like, yeah, that guy's pretty good. Right. And so it's very fascinating to me how much that's flipped. I mean, of course he gets a hot bowl of porridge, but I have to also give it to Cole Kmet.
Oh, look at you.
Preseason favorite of this show, Cole Kmet, has his breakout game. Let's be honest. 5 catches for 41 yards. 2 of them went for touchdowns. Yes, a lot of that was scheme, but I don't care. He's on the receiving end of it. He converted them. He was able to get skinny along the sidelines and convert that into a touchdown. He also had 2 carries for 9 yards, including that little quarterback sneak thing for a first down. I mean, the Travis Kelce thing, cool. Like, save Justin Fields from having to do quarterback sneak. Put your tight end who can drive his legs a little bit. I think it's a really smart play. I love it when the Chiefs run it because it just seems so smart to have Kelce do that instead of Mahomes. That's how Mahomes got hurt one year, a couple years ago. He sustained an injury because of a quarterback sneak. Why put your quarterback through that if you don't have to, or at least, lessen the load if you can. Again, good concepts, but hey, he got open. This is a guy that famously did not get in the end zone last year. 2 touchdowns yesterday.
Cole Kmet talked from House Halton, and he talked about that quarterback sneak he did. He said that he said now he understands when Justin Fields talks about how many hits he takes from the quarterback sneak, because it's a really physical, he's hit from all directions. So then he said that, that's something that the Bears will probably do moving forward. He said it's the way they ran it was a really quick hitter. They kind of motioned him in. He took the snap. He said they do it, and it kind of catches the defense off guard. He's able to get in there, really, drive for that first down. So I'm like you. I think it's a good play. Cole Kmet's 6'5", 260 something. I mean, he's a big dude, let him take those, plus, I'm sure he said he enjoys it. He played a little quarterback, he said, in high school. So let's get him in there.
As long as you know how to take a snap. Like, that's the only, It's not like any tight end can run this, right? You have to at least know how to take a professional snap in a game. That makes sense to me. But if he knows how to take a snap, keep doing it. And it's just, this is one of those like Andy Reid wrinkles. It's really smart. It was born out of necessity because you're not going to put your, $1 billion quarterback in harm's way if you don't have to. And it made a ton of sense. Other teams look at it. Some of them adopt it. I think it's really smart. It's a smart play. It's a smart play for football. I just like to see it. I like that the Bears adopted it. Let's flip it around. Cold bowl porridge. Who did you have?
I'm gonna go Equanimous St. Brown.
Yeah.
One play after the Chase Claypool, botched PI, perfect out route to the sideline. Justin Fields delivers a strike, hit him right in the hands. It would have been a first down, but he dropped it. I'm sure he felt horrible after the game. I didn't catch his post game comments, but that's just a play you got to make, man. I mean, it's right there for you. The Bears were in this game. I
Yep.
mean, if that's completed or the Claypool thing is called, they're right there. I mean, they're down 3. They're driving. Who knows what could have happened? The Bears gave up a punt block for a touchdown. You know, Offense to offense, the Bears were in a shootout and hanging with one of the best offenses in the game, which is the Dolphins, obviously, with Hill, Waddle. Tua's playing great. Their run game is really good, though. The Bears were right there. Equanimous St. Brown with the horrible drop at the end there.
Yeah, it's rough. I have come to actually kind of like Equanimous St. Brown, and I
I
feel
do
like he's
like
been
him.
kind of
Yeah,
solid, and he's not flashy, but I've been kind of like, yeah, I kind of like this guy. That's a tough one. It was a gorgeous ball. I mean, just
beautiful.
just gorgeous. Like Fields is kind of falling away. It's a kind of an arm angle to it. You can see him in the replay, like kind of walking off like a K strut. Again, a lot of pitching references, but it's like
Yeah,
a K strut. Like he knows it's a perfect ball. He's walking away, like, yeah, and then it just goes right through the hands. And it's like, would have been, I think, on the 43. So there still would have been work to do, but
they had time.
again, they
Yeah,
had time. They were moving the football. It's a fresh set of downs. I really like their chances there. That's a rough one. For me, I'm actually, he's my guy, but Khalil Herbert. So he missed the block on the punt. That was on him. And his guy went in and blocked the punt. That's the difference in the game. And we know that Khalil Herbert's hang up a little bit is that he doesn't really do pass pro all that well. And so why he's on the punt protection team is actually a little bit beyond me.
yeah.
But he sort of showed there that's why he's not that great at pass pro, kind of similar. Let that free runner through. My guy Trenton Gill had no chance. That guy blocked the punt with his stomach. That tells you there was no that was a complete whiff. And so Herbert gets that for me. He did not make up for it in the run game. That's a little bit of game flow, and coach is not calling his number enough. Which is unfortunate because, again, I don't know why that guy is only getting 7 carries. I thought we were at the point where we were distributing the carries evenly, and we went back to the bigger split with David Montgomery getting more carries. So that didn't make me very happy. But today I gotta call out my guy Khalil Herbert, cold bowl porridge for him.
That's fair. I mean, I thought about going that direction too. It was just I don't know. It just seemed like the part of it is always the game flow, the script, how they kind of just things work out there. I'm not sure, why he didn't get more reps. I mean, it was just something. Maybe they're doing more inside stuff. They like maybe they like Montgomery's ability to carry out some of those fakes better that Justin Fields is running. I'm not sure, but Herbert has definitely seemed like he is deserving of more carries. I mean, he's second on the team in rushing. I don't know why he didn't get more reps, but pass pro is part of it. But the Bears are pretty run heavy, so let's get him in there.
And I also lost my prop bet, which makes me upset. But
I lost my prop bet on that too. I put a little cheddar on that one.
sorry about that. I thought
That's
that was a
okay.
lock. 40 yards for a guy that's averaging 6.2 a carry.
Yeah,
Unbelievable. You got to get the carries though. All right,
yeah.
just right. What do you have for that?
I'm staying with the O line. I talked about earlier. Veteran Riley Reef. It wasn't a spectacular game. He is your backup tackle. On this team, he probably should, be a starter because Borum has had some issues in the run game. It wasn't the best of game from him, but I expect him to come in and be a professional. And that's what he was. You talked about the penalty he had, and, that's who he is at this point in his career. He's a 10-year vet. He's okay. He's a guy. He's solid. This is his one and only year in Chicago, probably. I think at this point, like I said, a professional football player, he did his job. He was fine.
You've also crossed the 10% playing
He
threshold.
did.
That
Yeah.
means that he's going to make the money that he signed for. So just play
Play
him.
him. Yeah.
Just play him. You're going to pay him the money. Just play him. I this might be a little weird. Chase Claypool, it's his first game. So I didn't expect like a ton of stats. He caught 2 passes for 13 yards on 6 targets. That's not productive. Like I understand that. He had a carry for 4 yards. It's the fact that they got him involved and the
Yeah.
way that they tried to get him involved, including 2 downfield shots. One of them resulted in a big penalty for defensive pass interference. The other one should have. And that's what he's going to bring you. He's either going to bring you some contested catches. He's going to bring you, I'm sure he's going to bring you some drops, but he's also going to bring you, some flags, and that's what you want. That's offense. I don't care how you get it. I mean, honestly, if you draw the flag or if you catch the ball, it's the same spot on the field, right? So, great play by him to draw that interference on the first one. Great play by him to draw the interference on the second one. It just didn't actually draw the interference, unfortunately. It's what I expected Chase Claypool to do early, and I'm glad that they got him involved. Again, this will be a ramp up. There will be a time when I would assume probably by after the bye week, he'll probably be fully immersed in this offense and playing as full of reps as possible. But for a first game, I like what I saw. I like this guy. I'm excited to see what Chase Claypool can do with Justin Fields.
6'5", like 238, 4.4 speed. I mean, he's got the total package, and he's gonna be a difference maker. I mean, for sure. I mean, they're gonna ramp him up. Him, N'Keal Harry, they got some big body guys. This actually leads me a little bit to, I had a second guy written down for Just Right. I wasn't sure how I was gonna bring him in, but I had the spirit of thing as a guy that performed how you thought he would perform, right? So that's Just Right. Velus Jones Jr. being inactive, it made sense to me. When you made the trade for Claypool, what are you going to do? You can't carry all your receivers on the roster. At this point, Dante Pettis is a better route runner. He gets more reps than Jones does. Jones is more of a gadget guy. What are you going to do? I know Bears Twitter was livid that how dare they put the 3rd-round rookie inactive? What are you going to do? Who are you playing him over? He doesn't know the offense is as good as St. Brown. He's not going to take Mooney's reps. He's a gadget guy that gets a handful of reps a game. With Claypool in the fold now, he's got to get some handful of reps a game. He's not taking Dante Pettis' reps because Pettis is, like I said, a better route runner, better receiver at this point in his career. He can also return punts. Jones lost his punt return job. What's going to happen when Byron Pringle is activated in a couple weeks? Are they going to – Velus Jones may never see the field again the rest of the season unless there's an injury,
Well, and you have a guy he's a rookie, right? He missed some times with an injury. So, he didn't have that full rep load that you would expect in camp. And, you don't know if maybe he's not picking up the playbook. Again, a rookie that missed time, and that's very common to see something like that. So maybe that's what's happening. Maybe like you said, you have a professional wide receiver in Pettis who's been around the league for a long time. Again, that's part of the game is understanding playbooks and being able to be reliable. And then you just acquired Chase Claypool, who you clearly are going to play, and he has to learn the playbook. So, how many guys do you want out there that maybe aren't fully up to speed of where you want them to be? Coaches have to make a decision on who they can rely on, and who they can kind of coach around. Right now, they're certainly going to try to coach around Chase Claypool and his skill set first. You think you can cover it with the other guys? I agree. It kind of makes sense to me. Hard to bring it into a category, but I'm glad that you mentioned it here because it is something that people got upset about. But these guys are trying to win football games, and we would love to see the development. We want to evaluate them, but that's not really what they are doing. They are trying to win football games, and so he's not cut. He's just was inactive, and maybe next week it makes more sense to play him and not somebody else. That's fine too, right? There's nothing wrong if they see an angle that they can use his skill set in that benefits the team more than others, then they'll use it. And I think that's good coaching.
I think at some point Claypool's going to obviously pick up the offense more. He'll start getting to where he's probably the number 2 as far as reps with Mooney. They like N'Keal Harry. I think at some point when you have your top 3 or 4 solidified, and then you have choose between, Dante Pettis or Velus Jones Jr. as the last receiver you're going to activate, maybe then you say, hey, let's bring Velus Jones Jr. We'll put a couple gadget plays for him because he is pretty good with the ball in his hands. Just a matter of him, getting there. The jet sweeps, some end arounds could be there. We'll see if he gets his job back as a returner full time. He was only doing it for the kick return last week. It was going to be Pettis, but I think at some point you will see him. And regardless, he's a 3rd round pick. He is a physical player. I think he is a part of this team moving forward next year. But just this year as a rookie, it may not be in the cards.
Yeah. Makes sense. All right, let's get out of here with the podcast. I don't know, man. It's just an interesting game to go back and watch because that they lose, but they're so close and so many good things happening on offense. We didn't even talk really about the defense because the defense doesn't matter that much this year. We understand that, especially when you trade away, 3 really good football players, over the course of the last 6 months or whatever. Yeah, the defense isn't going to quite be up to speed. The secondary clearly had some struggles against those 2 really good wide receivers.
Really good wide receivers.
Yeah, everybody else has 2, right? So, we'll back into that, but I don't know. Interesting game. Ready to move on to the Lions. Very excited to see what Justin Fields can do against the Lions because Lions are fun to beat up on. Let's be honest. And they just took down the Packers, so go Lions. They got their win, and maybe they can not get another one for a while, at least another week. And we'll be, I don't know, Bears over Beers is going to happen this week. I think I'm going to look at either Komet or maybe just the running game of Fields over the last couple games. I think it might be kind of interesting to break that down. And 10-minute drill and all that kind of stuff.
I think a Komet wouldn't be nice because the last time you guys did a Komet episode, it was after a really bad game he had. So I would be interesting if either you or EJ kind of look back and kind of saw, because I mean, in the passing game, he was fine. He caught the balls that were there. He made a couple nice runs. I'm interested to see how I'll on my next rewatch, I'll kind of go back and see how he blocked, but it'll be a fun one to Komet if you guys can go that route. But
we'll see what EJ wants to do. But I was thinking those 2 things. So maybe if he's going to do something different, I'll go that direction. But what do you have going on?
I don't know, man. There's always something happening. Yeah, everything is going on. There's always stuff at the sites. Sack watch would be nice this week. Only really 2. And like I said, the one was out of bounds. So, I may try and throw another quick little video together to kind of throw out there to the Sack City Gridiron guys, just because I may have a little extra time with just 2 sacks to actually write about. So that should be fun. So we'll see. There's always something going on. T-Information Conversation, obviously, with Mason West. It'll be Friday. He has his show coming up on the podcast channel. So Making Monsters, Taylor and Dylan should be back this week. I'm not sure what they have lined up, but I know that pod should be back. So the podcast should be full again. I know Bill's got a special guest coming out for Bears Banter, Adam Johns, probably come out tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon. We're recording this on Monday. So Tuesday, look for that one. So it's a packed podcast week for us.
Yep. It's all good. Got some fun stuff coming up. I'm going to be seeing EJ in person here in the near future. Nice. So that's exciting. And stick with us. We're going to keep breaking down this season. We're going to have fun. We'll stick around for the YouTube guys, but for you guys listening to the podcast, thanks for joining us. And until next time, bear down. And we're clear. I don't know.
That sounded good. I like that. Professional and everything.
Yeah. Right. Oh, man. What a game.
I don't mind them, man. 3 in a row. The win was there, but those last 2 losses, just how could we as fans be excited? But it's just a weird headspace to be in, right? Because we're not cheering for losses. We're not embracing the tank as some fans have. I still want to see my team win, but if Justin Fields didn't play like that, the offense didn't put those kind of points, I don't mind the loss. Very strange.
All right, so this is the laser show you're talking about. Augmented reality. Glasses should be coming out in the next few years to make it less dependent on phone. I don't know, man. Am I too old? I feel like I don't really want to do that. I don't want to have glasses that I see other things. I already have glasses on. I don't need them to be smart glasses.
I have never gone to a 3D movie because I don't want to deal with putting those glasses on.
These glasses are expensive enough.
Yeah.
And you know what? All right, for all of you that are young at some point in your life, you're not going to be able to change focus between near and far. And that's supposedly happens to everybody around their 40th birthday. And let me tell you, it happened to me. And I have to now have like it's called a baby bifocal. I am
Oh,
not a fan of
you're
this,
there.
but I had to do it. Yeah, I'm 40 years old, man. It is what it is.
So my last few trips to the eye doctor, my eye doctor is really cool. He's in Kenosha. He said, look, you're a tall guy. So when you do the bifocal thing, this is the arm length thing. He always explains it to me. So when you hold stuff and you have to get further away, he's like, at some point you're going to run out of arm length, and you have to get bifocal. He's like 5'3". He's a little dude, my eye doctor. He's like, it was for me, it happened really quick. But you're 6'6". You can keep bifocals, keep moving the stuff out, and you keep going. So I have not gone to bifocals yet, but I think next year I'm going to have to because I'm getting close.
Let me clarify. This is way too much medical information, probably. But let me clarify. I've never had a problem reading. It's not the bifocals are not for reading. They are actually it's my eyes changing focus.
Okay.
So I was reading something and then I looked up to the TV and it swam and I couldn't focus on it and I thought I was having a stroke. And then I remembered my eye doctor had like asked me like several questions the last time I was in there about like, are you having trouble focusing when you change from like near to far? And I was like, no, like, what are you even talking about? And then when that triggered, I was like, oh, right. No, I actually have no problem reading up close. I've never, it's not for that. I don't have to like look down on them for that. It's just this, it's the focus thing. I don't know how to explain it. Anyway, I can't see. I mean, they're not that bad, but I'm nearsighted. So, things in the distance are fuzzy if I don't have them on. Anyway, Micah agrees with me on Cody Whitehair. Thanks, Micah. I appreciate the backup there. Yeah, that was absolutely my point, John. These are not bad defenses. These are pretty good defenses that he's been doing this against. So I think it's pretty impressive. 30 points. When's the last time, guys? When's the last time you can say you feel like the Bears can go out and score 30 points? Imagine what they can do against the Lions. I mean, again, the Lions held the Packers to 6 points, whatever. I haven't watched that game, but Aaron Rodgers threw like 3 picks in the red zone.
He was so mad.
Something's wrong there. Like more, and again, I've been kind of down on the Packers all year. I was like, guys, they're not that good. They're 3-6. Like, they are they're not good. But he threw three interceptions in the red zone.
Yeah. And if you think about the Bears scoring, there was a tweet. I forget who sent it. It might have been ESPN, one of those stat guys. Like the Bears have scored on like 50-some% of their drives the last few weeks, which is the best in the league. Just all these weird trends about the Bears offense is just weird to talk about because, like I've never seen it in writing about the Bears. I mean, the last time the Bears scored this many points consecutively, you got to go back to, I think, that Mitch Trubisky, when he had a nice little run towards the end of the season, when Matt Nagy decided to change his offense to a lot of boot slide stuff, and they're facing awful, awful teams. I think the Jaguars at the time and the Texans, just some really horrible teams they faced. They had to put up these kind of numbers. And then, of course, they went against the Packers. They got, beat pretty bad. And then, of course, they backed into the playoffs and they tried that same ridiculous offense and it just didn't work. And the Saints killed them. So, but that was the last time. So a few years ago, but Bears had a good offense. We will be insufferable as Bears fans if we have a top tier quarterback. That is a fact. We are going to be, forget about it. It's over. If we ever get a guy that we can say, hey, he's at that level, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, the trash talking. I mean, I imagine the Bears fans in the 1940s were trash talking in long form and telegrams, right?
Wow.
Sid Luckman, stop. Dominant, stop. I don't know. Is that how telegrams work?
I think so.
John says in his number this week, 2.37 seconds. Fields average time to throw, 2.37 seconds. So that's pretty good. That's pretty quick, getting the ball out pretty fast. A couple times looked like he may have had a little bit of an extra hitch, right? Like he could have maybe gotten the ball out earlier. A couple of his misfires, but again, like he's improving so much. Like these things are going to continue to pick up. Just love it. So
there was a play by that Olin Kreutz kind of broke down on Twitter, and then of course Jenkins broke it down on a video as well, where it seemed like a play where Fields kind of just went off script, where he saw that Claypool had a cushion. he brought the protection into him. He saw the box was really tight. He's like, I'm not going to run this play. He just kind of chucked it out to Claypool, and Claypool made a guy miss and got some nice yards. So if Justin Fields gets to that point where he's able to kind of just command the offense, he knows it that good where he can just kind of do things what he wants. And I'm sure Luke Getz coming from the Packers and Aaron Rodgers, this is probably something he probably encourages Fields to do, because that's what Rodgers did for so many years. He still does it. If you see something, just make a play. Just if your guy is out there and he has room to make a play, and do it, make a play.
Iceberg Slim 38. I like that.
That's nice.
That's a fun name. But it's because most is underneath the surface of the water. Is that or is he just cold blooded? Like, we need more iceberg. Why, how did you get that nickname? Fields' passing yards will rise, not the Claypool route. I mean, absolutely, right?
Yeah,
He's got this legitimate threat that's deep, right? So you're going to actually get the yards from those completions, you think, but it also is going to open up. There's just going to be more vertical stretch in the game, right? Fields is able to press defenders and have the linebackers step up, because every time he makes a move towards the line, they're going to be like, oh crap, he's running. And so they're going to bail and they're going to come up, and that's going to create some intermediate space. But also, if you're able to stretch deep, that creates intermediate space as well. So that's going to benefit guys like Cole Kmet. And it benefit guys like, honestly, it benefits a guy like Pringle when he comes back healthy, to really exploit the intermediate routes. Mooney can get deep too, so you hope that can open that up. Mooney can get intermediate reps. It all works together, right? If you can stretch horizontally, you can stretch vertically. You can do that with the quarterback. You can do that with those jet sweeps. You do that with the deep routes if the defense respects it. And then you just have more space, and more space allows for easier throws. The yards are going to come. I'm confident the yards are going to come.
At this point, teams have to spy Fields, right? So they're taking a guy out, taking a guy out of coverage. What are these teams going to do when Fields now is showing, more of the passing ability, which he's shown ability now, but they just haven't really done a lot of it. You have some receivers coming back. You got Claypool, you have Pringle soon. The receiving room is still not up there, but it's much better than it was week one. So what are teams going to do? Are you going to still spy Fields? You have to. I think you're going to see Fields start seeing a lot more zone. Is that way everyone's kind of looking back at the quarterback? Their eyes are there. He's not going to see as much man, and eventually he'll get to the point where he can really diagnose those zone coverages. And if that's all he's seeing, because teams have to play him that way. We talked about the passing numbers; they're going to pop.
Yeah, I certainly agree. I'll have to disagree with my mom here. She says if it's too late if you're not already on the bandwagon. Look,
there's room.
You just don't get to be on the first car. We'll keep hooking them up. That's fine. We'll take them. We're equal opportunity. A lot of like Larry Borum, the defense from Micah. We don't hate Larry Borum. We don't dislike Larry Borum. We've broken him down on Bears Over Beers. We like Larry Borum. We think his best role is as a swing tackle in this league. We admire where he's come from. Like we are supportive of Larry Borum. All we're saying is there's a little bit more stability if you play a pro that's been around the league for a while that you're already paying. And I don't mind if he maybe takes a step back here. So it's not a negative to Larry Borum, but there's some things in his game that he can certainly work on here. So
yeah.
Which Jones? Who are we trading to Green Bay? I don't want to trade anybody to Green Bay. We don't talk to them. No interdivisional trades for Chicago to Green Bay or vice versa. I'm not good with that.
Yeah, no trades with the Pack.
Well, so this is a question about Herbert. I mean, that's the responsibility on the punt team, right? I mean, you've got to be able to pick that guy up. I mean, this isn't like a Bradley Chubb that was rushing him, right? Or anything like that. In a game, you might have that situation where running back's going to have to stick his nose in and get a block up on a defensive end. That stuff happens. These are special teamers, right? These are generally guys that are, second team defensive players or offensive players that are playing special teams. if he's out there, he has to make that block. That I don't care who's lined up against him. He has to make that block, and that's why he got the Cold Bowl for me. That's
Yeah.
maybe he shouldn't be out there, but he's out there because he's very fast and he's athletic and he's a good special teamer. He can make tackles, I guess, but that was it's a bad play. You got to call it out.
When he gets in the film room, they'll break it down and he'll learn from this. It's tough that it happened in that situation, but it's hopefully these guys all learn from their mistakes and they become better in the end.
Oh, okay. So that was Velus Jones. I was like, why are you trading Braxton Jones? I don't understand.
Yeah.
I'm not going to trade Braxton Jones. There's too many Joneses.
Yeah. I'm
having trouble keeping up with the Joneses.
The Joneses. I knew that joke was coming.
Got it.
I think he's G Station 7 talking about Tyreek Hill. Yeah, he wasn't the same guy, but I don't know if I want to talk about Velus Jones in that same breath, but I do like the upside from Velus. I think he has a chance to be a playmaker for this team. His route running, though, is something that I'm not sure he's ever going to become a even average route running in the league, but get him the ball in his hand, scheme him up some looks. He's very, very fast, very explosive, very strong and physical of a runner. He's a running back playing receiver, basically. So, maybe there will be some time when they decide to give him the ball out of the backfield too. So I like the upside to Velus, but just right now as a rookie, the playbook, he's not in it probably where he should be. So I'm fine with him coming, inactive or even, having really limited reps.
Yeah, I don't understand that. Don't compare him to Tyreek Hill. Like at this point, Tyreek Hill looks like he's a Hall of Famer. Like that's how good he is right now. And
he's on pace for 2,000 yards receiving this year.
He does something like that. I mean, just leaving Mahomes and actually having a better year is kind of an amazing thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so he's on a path. Like, we're looking for Velus Jones to be a productive NFL player, right? Like the expectation can't be, one of the 3 best receivers in the league. I mean, how deep would you get in listing off wide receivers before you'd get to Tyreek Hill, right? I mean, you'd say Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, Tyreek. I mean, like, it's hard for me to not say Jamar Chase, right? I mean, like, he's in the top 5. Like,
for sure.
Don't put those that's all I'm saying. Don't put those expectations on him. The last one, and we'll get out of here. You guys think Equanimous gets benched if Pringle gets back in? I mean, benched, I don't know. It's just like I think the snap share is going to fluctuate a bit. If you're asking, like, is Equanimous going to be the guy that's the inactive? Maybe. Like, I mean, Pringle didn't really have much time with Justin, right? Like,
yeah.
So I don't know where they're at with him, what his injury situation is. I don't know if Mason's, talked about this with you or not, but I don't know where they're at with that. If he is able to come back and get some time, you think Claypool's snaps are just going to continue to go up. Mooney's aren't going to go anywhere. You would think maybe Pringle's the 3. Harry, I think they like Harry, right? And so, maybe N'Keal Harry's kind of the 4. I don't know, man. Like, where does he fit? Like, he is he's solid because he knows the offense and he's familiar with the offensive coordinator, but
there's my stupid dog barking.
But is he, does he make active roster? I mean, it's a good question. I don't know. I feel like at some point he's out.
Yeah, I think with St. Brown, I think I talked about it earlier in the offseason that he's your starting X. And as a starting X in this scheme, he's probably your 5th targeted guy on the field because
right.
You got Mooney, you got the tight ends, you got the backs, you got your slot guy. And I think Pringle, seems like he's a big slot guy. It's kind of where he slots in. I think with St. Brown, they like the intangibles. They like him knowing the offense. They like him. He can run that jet sweep for you because he has, 4.4 speed as well. He's a physical presence as a blocker, which of course, with the Bears have the best run game in the game. That's a big part of what he has there, but they do like Harry, of course, now with Claypool. So his reps will get cut. I'm going to have to go back and check the snap counts to see if he's playing other special teams as a starting X for you. But I know in Green Bay, he did that a little bit. That may be where he has to find his role as kind of a guy that kind of plays the X for you a little bit, but he's also covering kicks for you a little bit, kind of the Josh Bellamy style, who Josh Bellamy, a lot of Bears fans thought he was horrible. I liked him. I thought he was a good player for what he was, what he was asked to do. You can have a worse wide receiver 5. He was fine. If EQ is your wide receiver 5, that's fine. And with Pringle, I'm excited to see Pringle. I wasn't expecting a lot from Pringle when he was signed, but the more I looked into what he did in Kansas City, I saw kind of the stuff. We talk about explosive with the ball. He's good after the catch too. He's another one of those guys. Just another weapon. It'll be fun to see this offense when everyone's healthy, if it happens. Hopefully it does. With everyone's healthy, everyone's playing, and of course with Claypool now, it's like, the sky's the limit. I mean, Justin Fields could really put up some nice numbers here moving forward, kind of give them a really good look at what they want to do with this offense going into next season, because there's some guys that are on 1-year deals, but they're going to have a good chance here to kind of really put things around Justin Fields and really build it up.
Yeah. Equanimous as your wide receiver 2. That's not really where you want to be. Equanimous as your wide receiver 5. That's fine.
That works.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely. All right, we'll leave it there. Appreciate all the comments and all the back and forth, guys. Love that part of it. Really like the Q&A afterwards. We'll be back next week. I may need to move it up or back depending on what your schedule is, Lester. So I have a commitment at some point in Seattle, and I'm still trying to figure out the time zone differences and how this is going to work. So I may need to move it up. I may need to move it back, but we will be back on Monday. So
I'm pretty flexible on Mondays. I work from home on Mondays usually, so a little earlier is fine. A little later is even better. So we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we will be here Monday. It just may not be the same time. So,
nice.
All right, guys. Thanks. Appreciate it.